Hello and welcome to the Alpha Edge Podcast, the show for men over 50 who refuse to fade out, slow down, play small, or settle for average. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert, coach, and founder of the Alpha Edge, and I am here to help you get and stay strong in every dimension of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. You're here because you're ready to reclaim your power, to own your masculinity, and lead your life with strength and purpose. If you're ready to sharpen your edge, revive your drive, and lead like a man who's built for more, you're in the right place. All right, men, let's get after it. All right, men, let's talk about borders. Not just national borders and geographical borders, but personal ones. Now, look, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that there is a ton of noise out here right now about border security here in the U.S. And the debates are loud, they're heated, they're political, they're personal, they're cultural, they're emotional, right? And some people say we need tight enforced borders to protect our country. And then we have others arguing that we should open the gates, welcome everybody in, no questions asked. Now, I'm not here to make this a political podcast, but I am going to make it personal because here's the brutal truth. A man without borders is a man without armor. All right, so let's start our conversation here when we talk about personal borders. Let's go back to national security again. So U.S. border, right? That whole topic going here. If you are someone who says, hey, we need open borders, or look, if you're listening to this podcast, the Alpha Edge podcast, that's probably not you. But if it is, or more likely, if you know someone like that, maybe you have friends or maybe you have family members that feel very strongly about, hey, we need open borders. Here's the question. Would you open your home like that? Would you let strangers just walk in uninvited? They just live in your house. They sleep in your bed. They eat your food. They get to hang out with your wife and kids, and they can burn through all of your resources. I mean, would you allow somebody just to move in to your house uninvited? Or, I mean, not even your house. What about your property? What about your yard? Can people just go there, camp out, and live there without your property? Hell no, you wouldn't, because that's your domain. That's your territory. And you instinctively know that not everybody gets access to that. And yet, every single day, I see grown men doing exactly that in their personal lives. They let other people's agenda run their calendars. They say yes when they mean no. They let toxic ideology camp out in their minds rent-free. They scroll mindlessly instead of doing what matters. They let guilt, obligation, fear flood across their internal borders, and then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed, they feel anxious, drained, distracted, weak. Look, this episode isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about building gates to protect what matters most. We're not here to become closed off, cold, and disconnected men. We're here to become fortified, focused, fierce, to become men who guard the mission, who guard what's precious. Because if you don't set your own boundaries, I'm here to tell you, somebody else will. If you don't protect your time, your energy, and your values, this world will consume them. You are the leader of your life, and leadership starts with one simple question: who and what gets access to me, and who and what doesn't? And today, we're going to dismantle the weak, watered-down lies about boundaries. We're going to expose what happens when you don't guard your gates, and we're going to show you how to draw lines in the sand that will change your life. All right, guys, so let's define exactly what we mean by boundaries. What are boundaries? Because when a lot of guys hear the word boundaries, they kind of flinch. They think that sounds soft or selfish or maybe even a little therapy bro. Because let's be clear. Boundaries aren't about being an asshole. They're not about being a jerk. They're not about being this cold, guarded, disconnected man. And they're definitely not about being some passive-aggressive, nice guy with hidden resentment and a fake smile. No, boundaries are masculine as hell because strong boundaries require clarity. They require discipline, courage, and conviction. They are the marks of a man who knows what matters and refuses to let anything compromise it. Here's what boundaries really are. Boundaries are clarity about what you value. Boundaries are ownership of your energy and your attention. Boundaries are responsibility for how you spend your time, and boundaries are protection of your purpose, your peace, your people, and your mission. Boundaries are how strong men display self-respect and how they train the world, so their families and communities to do the same. If you don't know what your yes is, then you never know when to say no. And if you don't decide your standards, culture is going to decide for you. So let me say this again. If you don't lead your life with boundaries, your life will be led by everything and everyone else. Boundaries are the difference between a man on a mission and a man in complete and total chaos, between a king guarding his kingdom and a peasant being pulled in every which direction. So let's talk about what happens when those boundaries fall, when we fail to set boundaries. Because look, there is a high cost of boundary failure. So if you've ever felt burnt out, but you can't figure out why, if you've ever been resentful, but you can't quite put your finger on it, if you're constantly distracted or overwhelmed, like you're running from fire to fire without making any real progress, that's more than just poor time management. That's boundary failure. And when your borders are weak or blurry, here's what walks in: emotional manipulation, guilt-based decisions, passive-aggressive relationships, mission drift. And the scariest part, every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you're saying no to something that does. You say yes to more work, no to dinner with your wife. Yes to another obligation, no to your workout. Yes to avoiding conflict, no to the truth that would set you free. And little by little, your life gets hijacked. You become a slave to the urgent. You lose your peace, your fire, and your clarity. And look, men, if you are not careful, that gap between who you are and who you're meant to be, it becomes a canyon. So ask yourself, where in your life are your boundaries soft, unclear, or maybe even non-existent? And let's talk about how we're going to fix that. So there are 4 key areas that we have got to set boundaries and get control of here. So let's get tactical. You've heard some theory. You've felt the consequences. Now it's time to build the damn gates. Here are the 4 key areas where every man needs to set firm, clear boundaries. That's with your time, your energy, your relationships, and yourself. So let's break these down. Number 1 is your time. Show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. A lot of men think that they have time problems, they have time management problems, but really what they have are boundary problems. Your time is non-renewable. You don't get it back. Most guys live like it's unlimited. They let other people fill their calendars. They say yes to everything. They're constantly reacting to what's urgent instead of moving towards what's important. They wear busy like a badge of honor, and our culture rewards and promotes this. But busy is the enemy of purpose. So let me ask you guys, are you guys running your schedule or is your schedule running you? Is your calendar full of obligations or is it full of opportunities to grow into the man you're called to be? Are you making the time for what matters? Faith, fitness, family, mission, or are you just hoping to fit that in somewhere? This week, I want you guys to think about blocking time for what matters and to guard it like your life depends on it, because men, it does. All right, number 2 key area that we need to set boundaries as men is our energy. Time is what you schedule, but your energy is what fuels it. If you ever get to the end of the day and you're feeling tired and burnt out and anxious, but you have no idea why, that's because your energy is leaking somewhere. And if you don't protect it, you'll be too depleted to lead. You'll show up tired, irritable, reactive. You'll settle, you'll snap, you'll shut down. Leadership demands margin, and margin only comes when you start saying no to what drains you. So ask yourself, who or what is sucking the life out of you? Where are you saying yes out of, guilt, fear, obligation? Are you leaving any energy for your actual mission, or are you just putting out fires all day? Remember, just because someone wants your attention doesn't mean they've earned it. You don't owe everyone access. So the challenge here is to identify an energy leak this week. This is one thing or one person that consistently drains you. Cut it off, delegate it, or build a firm boundary around it. I want you guys to protect your fire. Number 3 is relationships. I like to think of it this way. You're not going to so much rise to the level of your potential as you're going to fall to the standards of your circle. And Let's talk about the people in your life, because here's the hard truth. You are either leading in your relationships or being led by them. Now, most guys avoid confrontation. They put up with crap they shouldn't. They tolerate disrespect, manipulation, codependence because they're afraid to speak the truth or rock the boat. And look, I was guilty of this for almost the entirety of my adult life. So, this hits deep for me as well. But I can tell you guys, boundaries in relationships are not about control. They're about clarity, strength, and leadership. You teach people how to treat you, and what you tolerate sets the tone. So guys, I want you to ask yourself, where are you letting others lead you away from your mission? Where are you hiding your truth to keep the peace? Who do you need to have that hard conversation with to reset some expectations? And look, let's be real. This is not about being a tough guy. This is about being a man with integrity. So guys, this week, speak one hard truth. Set one new expectation with someone you love in your life. Lead with love, but lead, guys. All right, and then finally, number 4 is self. The hardest person to lead is the one you look at in the mirror every single morning. This is where most men lose the battle. Not out there in the world, but in here. The toughest boundaries you're ever going to set are with yourself. Skipping workouts, mindless scrolling, late nights, comfort eating, compromising on your standards because no one's watching. But here's the deal. Every time you break your word with yourself, you erode trust. And conversely, every time you keep your word with yourself, you build power. You want to become the kind of man your wife admires, your kids respect, and your brothers follow? Then you have to win the private battles, the ones no one sees but that shape everything. So ask yourself, where are you negotiating with your standards? What promises have you made to yourself and then broken? What non-negotiables do you need to reclaim and protect? So my challenge for you guys this week is to pick one personal non-negotiable. Maybe it's your workout, maybe it's your bedtime, maybe it's your phone scrolling limit, maybe it's your morning routine. But whatever it is, lock it in, keep your word, build that trust. All right, man, so now we're starting to build out a map. Time, energy, relationships, self. These are your borders. Guard them, respect them, defend them, because the stronger your boundaries, the stronger your life. All right, guys, let's bring this home. Let's make this practical. And let me say this just as clearly as I can. Weak men avoid boundaries. Strong men build them and enforce them. Weak men lead lives of distraction, depletion, and disappointment. Strong men build a life of clarity, confidence, and conviction. Men, your time is sacred. Your energy is limited. Your relationships are defining. And your word to yourself is everything. So the question is then, are you guarding the gates or are you letting the world walk right through them? You don't need more willpower. You don't need another productivity hack or a new planner. What you need to do is decide. This is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is what I will no longer allow. Because the moment you draw those lines is the moment your life starts moving in the direction of strength and purpose. So guys, I want you to pick one domain this week. It could be time, energy, relationships, or yourself, and I want you to set one new boundary. Draw one clear line in the sand, and I want you to keep it. Maybe you block out non-negotiable gym time. Maybe you stop answering calls from that energy vampire. Maybe you have a hard conversation with a loved one that you've been avoiding. Maybe you stop hitting snooze and start honoring your morning. Whatever it is, do it like a man. Don't overthink it. Don't wait until it's comfortable. Act, decide, enforce, lead. And men, if you are doing this kind of work and maybe you're ready to go deeper, I invite you to join us inside the Alpha Edge Army. This is where men like you are getting stronger in every dimension of their life, physically, mentally, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. Because iron sharpens iron and strong men don't walk this walk alone. If you are interested, you can find the link to learn more in the show notes. But guys, here's what I want to leave you with. I want you to guard your gates. I want you to keep your word. I want you to lead your life. This is your edge. I want you to sharpen it daily. All right, men, let's go. Okay, men, that's our show for this week. Don't forget to download our free guide titled How to Raise Your Testosterone Naturally. You can find the download link in the show notes for this episode on whatever app you're listening to this podcast on. If you've enjoyed today's show, here are 3 ways you can support us. Number 1, share this episode with a friend. Number 2, make sure to like and follow this show, and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Number 3, give us a follow over at Instagram. We're at Alpha Edge Army. So that's Alpha Edge Army all run together. I really appreciate you men taking the time to listen. And until next week, stay strong.